Okay, good evening. Our today's topic is contractual liability of state and tortious liability of state. Together, you can call it as state liability under Article 299 and Article 300. So, as like individual, the state is also going to enter into contract. So, state is a juristic person like individual. When it is a juristic person, it may be should or may should. It may be should or may should. State is like a juristic person. So, in this connection, we are going to discuss about two liabilities: contractual liability and tortious liability of the state. Contractual liability and tortious liability under Article 299 and 300. So, here state is acting like a juristic person. So, state is going to perform so many contracts. At the same time, it is going to enter into contract with different people. So, here 299 and 300. When the contract, there is a breach of contract, you can exercise this provision on 299. When it comes to tortious liability, 300. Tortious liability means you might have discussed the same topic in law of torts, liability of state and master servant relationship you have discussed on 299, 300. So, now we have to discuss about this topic state liability and what is the second article we are going to discuss is Article 299. So, if you go through some case laws and if you go through the provision, you will understand what is this 299. If you look at 299, what it speaks, the provisions of Article 299 Clause 1. Okay, so the first one is 299 Clause 1, what it says. Article 299 authorizes the Government of India and the Government of State to enter into contract for any purpose subject to the mode and manner provided by Article 299. Okay, so 299 speaks about the mode through which the state has to enter into contract. So, in specific, 299 Clause 1, all contracts made in the exercise of executive power of union or the state shall be expressed to be made by the president or by the governor of state as the case may be. Next, Clause 2, all such contract and all assurances of property made in the exercise of that power shall be executed on behalf of the president or governor. The next one means Clause 3, its execution must be such person by such person and in such manner as the president or governor may direct authorize. So, president of India at central level and state level governor. So, any contract is going to enter with their authorization or on behalf of president or governor. Clause 1, president and governor. And Clause 3, what it is saying? Its execution must be by such person and in such manner as president or governor may direct or otherwise. Even if you enter into any government authority, that government authority must get sanction from president and sanction because they are going to act as authorized agents of government, central level president and state level governor. So, 299 speaks about manner in which you have to enter the contract. So, what it is saying this 299? A contract has to be entered. The manner provided in 299 means it must be an authorized contract on behalf of president and governor or such person authorized by president or governor. So, if you take any contract, you are going to enter into the contract with the government on behalf of president and governor or persons authorized by them. Otherwise, it is not valid. That is what you have to understand under Article 299. If the contract is not in the form provided in 299, that is going to be invalid. So, how to understand? So, if you want to understand this particular concept, you have to go through some case laws. Okay. So, 299 is mandatory. To say a contract with government is valid, 299 is mandatory. So now you have to look at some case laws. You can understand. Okay. So the first one is Vikraj Jaipuria versus Union of India, AR 1962, Supreme Court 113. So in this case, the court held that if the contract is not in the proper form, it is not enforceable. So when the purchase orders were not expressed to be made in the name of governor or general or executed on behalf of or signed by the divisional superintendent, the appellant was not entitled to get compensation. So here what happened? This is regarding purchase orders. So divisional superintendent engineer signed it, but the problem is that is not authorized by the governor. So the contract with the divisional superintendent engineer is not valid because it is not authorized contract. So the party will not get compensation. So next one is Union of India versus A.L. Rai Leela Ram, AR 1963, Supreme Court 1685. In this case, the Supreme Court held that the mere fact that officers fail to express that he is executing the contract on behalf of the President can be ignored if the facts given are an inference and it has been made on behalf of President. Sometimes that means the mere fact there is no consent clause means in the absence of President also, if the facts infers that it has been made on behalf of the President, that is valid. So in the first case, what it is saying, there is no authorization. Second case, but if the fact shows that there is authorization, mere facts infer that the mere fact shows that is valid. So what you have to understood in this case, authorization by President or Governor, then only the contract is valid under Article 299. So now you have to look at other things. Execution of formal legal document. So the interpretation that the contract must be in the form as provided by Article 299 sometimes becomes inequitable to the party dealing with the government and also make the operation of government difficult. So in this we have a case, Union of India versus Rai Leela Ram, AR 1963, Supreme Court 1685. Okay. So in this case, the tenders were invited for the purchase of cigarettes on behalf of President by the Chief Director of Purchase, who accepted the tender. By signing a letter, the court held that the contract could not be said to be void for not being in the proper form. Article 299(1) does not stipulate execution of formal document on behalf of President of India. If the President does not prescribe any mode for execution of contract, the valid contract may arise between the parties. Correspondence also. Okay. So now we have to look at next contract by authorized person. So if you look at contract by authorized person means the contract must be executed by such persons and the President or Governor may direct or otherwise. Authorization may be direction may be specific in a particular case, rule, notification, special orders may grant. So here authorization by President or Governor are essential. So contract by authorized person. So here when it comes to promissory estoppel, you might have discussed in your contract what is promissory estoppel. Here it applies to if the action of the government implies a created impression. So then government is liable for its promissory estoppel. Here also you can claim compensation under promissory estoppel when it comes to this particular contract. So the next one is service contract. So this is not going to apply for service contract. So service contracts are not governed by Article 299. When a person is appointed in the government service, he acquires a status and the access conditions determined by the statutory rules framed under Article 309. So Next one is statutory contracts. There is a difference between statutory contract and service contract. So, if a contract made in exercise of general executive power, those which are made in exercise of statutory powers, while the former is governed by Article 299, latter is under statutes. Okay. So, the next one, doctrine of restitution. So, you all discussed the doctrine of restitution in contracts. Sometimes what happens, when there is a contract not in compliance with Article 299, Clause 1, the contract is not enforceable, but doctrine of restitution applies to such contract. So, you all know about Section 70 of Indian Contract Act, which provided when a person lawfully does anything for another person or delivers anything to him, not intending to do so graciously, and such person enjoys the benefit thereof, the latter is bound to make compensation to the former in respect of restore the thing done or delivered. So, this is called as doctrine of restitution that will apply. So, even in the absence of 299 clause 1, doctrine of restitution will apply. This is called the restitution of contract. So, next one is principles of natural justice. So, when it comes to principles of natural justice, the government is not at par with a private person while dealing with private law, yet the government actions must conform to the prescribed procedure and also must not be unreasonable. These principles of natural justice we have discussed in last classes. Means principles of natural justice, it implicit in every law, because you will not find the definition for principles of natural justice, but it is implicit in every law, principles of natural justice. Then what way it is related to this particular contract under 299? So, in Supreme Court held Equipment and Chemicals Limited versus State of West Bengal, AR 1975, Supreme Court 266. So, in this what happened? A contractor cannot be blacklisted without giving him opportunity of hearing, because it deprives him of equality of opportunity in matters of public contract. So, since the principle of natural justice were not observed by the government, the court quashed the blacklisting of contract. So, before blacklisting a contract, you must give him a chance to hear. So, he must be heard. Means what? In principles of natural justice, before punishing a person, you have to give him chance to show reason, to show explanation. Without asking explanation, you cannot remove him, you cannot blacklist him. So, here also this is implicit in every law, principles of natural justice. While this contract also, when you are blacklisting a contract or quashing a contract, what you have to do? You must give him an opportunity, that is called principles of natural justice. The next point is contractual liability of the state, the same as that of individual. So, the contractual liability of the state under Indian Constitution is same as like individual. So, the liability of state is exactly the same. The next one is no personal liability. When it comes to this government contract, there is no personal liability. You cannot impose personal liability on governor or president. Same is the case with no personal liability of the officer when the contract was not in the proper form. So, next, in this case, one case, Chaturbhuj versus Moreswar, AR 1967-203, Chaturbhuj versus Moreswar. So, what is this case? The court took the view that when the contract with the government is not in the form of Article 299(1), the officer who entered the contract could be held personally liable under Section 230 Clause 3 of Indian Contract, but thereafter the court dropped this view and held in State of UP versus Murali Lal Section 3230 of Indian Contract Act would not apply in such cases. So here there is no personal liability. There is no personal liability which is there in 230 clause 3 of Indian Contract Act that will not apply to these contracts. President or governor or persons authorized by these two categories were not personally liable in view of not following procedure 299 clause 1. So this is what 299. So we all now understood what is article 299. In 299, government can enter contract, means the authorization must be given by president or governor or people authorized by them. If the contract is not in the proper form, that can be rejected. Sometimes you will apply doctrine of restitution. Okay, this is what article 299. Now you have to look into 300. Now you are going to, in continuation, article 300. What is 300? It is very important. So you all discuss cases relating to torts in our torts class. The liability of the state. Liability of state as like individual. So you all know about torts where you are supposed to pay compensation for unliquidated damages. Now what constitution? Constitutional remedies available under article 300. So if you look at article 300 clause 1, it provides that the government of India may be sued in relation to its affairs in like domain of India subject to any law which may be made by the Act of Parliament. So the Parliament has not made any law, and therefore the question has to be determined as to whether the suit would be against the domain of India before the Constitution came into force. Okay, so what we have to understood? State is liable for its acts. We are discussing about master-servant relationship. Because the state is performing so many functions, so in the same manner, the state has to take care of its activities without negligence. If there is negligence on the part of any government servant, we are making liable to pay compensation, government. So this concept you have discussed in law of torts. Before the commencement of the Constitution, you have East India Company, thereafter you have Secretary for His Majesty. So now then we have now Government of India, okay, after Constitution. So now you have to look at this. You have discussed some case laws. And it comes to liability of state, that is called as tortious liability of state. So you have discussed the very leading case, P&OM steam navigation case versus Secretary of State of India. This was, okay. So you have discussed this case, the principle which they have applied. And what they said in this case, the Supreme Court held that Secretary of State for India was liable for the damages caused by negligence of government servants because the negligent act was done in excess of sovereign functions. The court draw distinction between act done in exercise of sovereign power, non-sovereign power. In this case, we have discussed about sovereign and non-sovereign power. We are discussing the case. What in this case, the court have distinction between sovereign and non-sovereign function. Means when it is performing sovereign function, when it is not performing sovereign means non-sovereign function. They made a distinction saying that state is liable when it is state is not liable when it is doing sovereign function. Okay, this is what we have concluded in that case. So next in state of Rajasthan versus Vidyavati, year 1962, Supreme Court 933. I think you have discussed all these cases. Again, I am repeating. The driver of jeep owned by maintained by state of Rajasthan for official purpose. Okay. So what happened in this case? The act means the driver's act was not act in the exercise of sovereign function. The court said the employment of driver of a jeep car for the use of a civil servant was an activity which was not connected in any manner with the sovereign power of the state. So the court approved the distinction between steam navigation company case and sovereign function, non-sovereign function. Vidyavati case, So, here what is Lordship, what Supreme Court said, C.J. Sinha, what he said, the principle of the king can do no wrong as known applicable and validity in this country. What he said, we have a principle in England, king can do no wrong. But that is not having no more value in this country. That is what Sinha said in this case, Vidyavati versus State of Rajasthan case. Next we have Kasturilal versus State of UP. This case also we have discussed here also is regarding a constable. Here also they have tried to distinction between sovereign and non-function. He performed this through sovereign when he is doing sovereign function. So later what happened? This distinction between sovereign and non-sovereign function, because the state is performing so many activities. So this is not having any value. Means what? The sovereign and non-sovereign immunity, sovereign immunity is no more value. In later cases that is decided. So if you look at the later cases, what happened? Sri N. Nagendra Rao versus State of AP, 1994 6 SCC Supreme Court Judgment 205. N. Nagendra Rao versus State of AP. So what happened in this case? The Supreme Court held that when due to the negligent act of officer of state, a citizen suffers any damage, to state will be liable to pay compensation, and the principle of sovereign immunity of state will not absolve him from the liability. The court held that the context of modern concept sovereignty of doctrine stands diluted. The distinction between sovereign and non-sovereign function no longer exists. Okay, so what Supreme Court said, and it expressed its dissatisfactory condition for making separate law for this. What Supreme Court said in this case, it is no more exists, it is outdated principle. Means saying he committed this during non-sovereign duty, you cannot you cannot escape from liability. So that is what Supreme Court said. There is no such principle either onwards. Okay. So then you have another case. Later all these cases, what happened? This principle of sovereign immunity is diluted. Diluted means now State of AP versus Challa Ramakrishna Reddy. In this case, what Supreme Court says, AR 2000, Supreme Court 2082, State of AP versus Challa Ramakrishna Reddy, known as prisoner's murder case. In this case, Supreme Court held that in the process of judicial advancement, Kasturilal's case has paled into significance and no longer of any binding value. In this case, the prisoner was died. Even the police officer was one of the culprit in that case. So here what says, this Kasturilal case is not having any value. So the person is what happened? The Supreme Court held that in case of violation of fundamental rights, the defense of sovereign immunity, which is an old and archaic defense, cannot be accepted, and the government and the people are liable compensate to victim. Okay. So here what Supreme Court said? The court said the personal liberty should be given supremacy over sovereign immunity. So what you have to understand in the latter cases, the personal liberty must be given supremacy over sovereign immunity, because there is no sovereign immunity. What we have